Iran is burning with unrest and the shockwaves are being felt far beyond its borders. For the third straight week, streets across the Islamic Republic remain tense as protesters challenge the regime and security forces respond with deadly force. The rising bloodshed has now pushed the crisis onto the global stage, where Washington could take a decision that may cause ripple effects across West Asia and beyond. Demonstrations continue across Iran despite a sweeping crackdown by the state security forces. A US-based human rights organization now estimates that more than 2,500 people have been killed since the protests began. That figure reflects the scale of the violence in the Islamic Republic. As the death toll climbs, the pressure is building inside the White House. American President Donald Trump is considering whether to strike Iran. The deliberations come as the administration remains sharply divided over how to respond to Tehran's actions. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance is reportedly leading an effort to slow the march toward military action. He and several senior officials are urging the president to put diplomacy first and avoid steps that could trigger a wider regional conflict. Their concern is that United States strikes could strengthen the Iranian leadership's grip on power and derail the protest movement from within. Trump, however, appears increasingly inclined toward a forceful response. The stance, remember, marks another departure from the core promise of the Trump-Vance campaign, which ran on ending American involvement in prolonged foreign wars. Trump and Vance won the 2024 election under the America First banner, pledging to pull the United States out of what they called endless conflicts. Yet, during his second term, President Trump has repeatedly moved in the opposite direction, and he's faced backlash from parts of his own political base after ordering airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities last year, and that criticism is now resurfacing as the current crisis escalates. The president is set to meet with senior advisors to weigh his next moves. Options under review range from cyber operations and expanded sanctions to direct military strikes. Across the Persian Gulf, America's Arab partners are urging restraint. Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Qatar have all warned Washington that any attempt to destabilize Iran's leadership could send oil prices soaring and ultimately damage the American economy. They also fear political blowback within their own borders.
We know that any escalation of the sort that you described would have catastrophic results in the region and beyond, and therefore we want to avoid that as much as possible. The talks continue, our calls continue.
Israel is reportedly urging Washington to show restraint. Israeli officials believe that the Iranian regime has not yet been weakened enough for American strikes to deliver a decisive blow. Their view adds to the caution being voiced by several of America's closest regional partners. Against the threat of possible American strikes, Iran has warned neighbors hosting American troops that it would hit American bases if Washington strikes. According to a Reuters report, the United States is withdrawing some personnel from its major bases in West Asia as a precautionary measure due to high regional tensions. Now, amid all of this, Donald Trump has issued his own warnings. On Tuesday this week, he addressed Iranian demonstrators directly, telling them that help is on its way. And now he said that the United States would respond with what he calls very strong action if Iran begins executing protesters.
I haven't heard about the hanging. If they hang them, you're going to see some things that I don't know what where you come from and what your thought process is, but you'll perhaps be very happy.
What do you mean by that?
We will take very strong action. If they do such a thing, we will take very strong action.
Inside Iran, confirming details remains difficult as authorities restrict internet access, blurring the line between verified information and uncertainty. Reports suggest Iran is preparing to carry out its first execution linked to the protests following mass arrests across the country. The state television has shown large funerals in Tehran for members of the security forces that have been killed during this unrest. At the same time, demonstrations continue in key commercial areas, including Tehran's Grand Bazaar, where videos show the police using tear gas to scatter the crowds. Images circulating on social media appear to show dozens of bodies at Tehran's morgue, offering a glimpse of how sharply the death toll has risen since the early days of the uprising. The crackdown has also ignited protests around the world, with demonstrators rallying in cities from North America to Europe and Australia. Inside Iran, pro-government rallies are also taking place, openly praised by the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Pro-regime demonstrations have surfaced beyond Iran as well. Unconfirmed reports of U.S. aerial refueling tankers positioning in the Hawaii have now sparked speculation about possible long-range military preparations. Analysts say that similar movements were observed before last year's American strikes on Iran as well. As it stands, Iran remains locked in turmoil tonight. Whether this crisis can still be contained or whether it is about to spiral into something far larger may no longer just be Iran's problem and in Iran's hands alone.